Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to the Lucas Tindell live show. We're so excited to have you guys here today. It's a special Monday. We're here to bring you Monday motivation today. We want to bring you education, information, motivation, and today I have a very special guest that's going to help us do that. I want to welcome you guys as you guys come into this live stream. Thank you guys who are here on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and on Periscope. We're excited to have all of you. We've had such great participation on the past shows. This has been so much fun for me today to get into the studio and do this with you guys. I just really appreciate it. I'm excited tonight because I'm hoping that tonight those of you who are watching are also going to get your teenagers involved, get them in on the discussion, have them watch this broadcast because tonight is not only going to help you, it's going to help them. Many of our young people have had their lives interrupted by this coronavirus, this COVID-19 crisis. And it's caused so many of our youth to wonder, what is school going to be like when we go back? Are we going to go back this year? And to those seniors out there are so many seniors out there who are set to graduate this year, and they don't know what this year is even going to be. Is there going to be a graduation? Is there going to be a prom? What's going to become of their senior year? This is a very special time in the lives of any high school student, and we want to speak some truth to that. We want to give some information on that. It is also about college readiness. We want to help people get ready for college. They have to have college readiness. So what does that look like? How is that going to work? For those who are looking to get into specific colleges, what can they do to get ready? So we're going to talk about that today. My guest, actually, I'm going to share a video from my guest today as we kick this thing off that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. It speaks to a little bit about what he does.
So you gotta go.
It speaks to a little bit about what he does and has done professionally, and it's going to give you a little bit more insight into him. Many of you may already know him. He is a great guy, well known in the community, and I'm just excited to have him here with us today. So I'm going to set up this clip, and you guys are going to see a little bit about our special guest today.
So you gotta go. You got a dream that you chose to come to this university. Your parents sent you here. I want you to get that goal, and I want you to get that dream in your mind. And I want you to repeat after me. When it comes to achieving your goal and your dream, I want you to say, I can, I shall, I will, I must. I can, I shall, I will, I must. One more time. I can, I shall, I will, I must. I want you to see it one more time. One more time. See that goal, that dream that's sitting in your mind. That thing that you think about before you go to sleep. Before you get to snoring and drooling on your pillow. I can. I shall. I will. I must. Give yourselves a round of applause.
I want to welcome to the show my special guest, Mr. Lester Sanders. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Lucas. Glad to
Absolutely,
be on
man.
here, man.
Such a pleasure having you here today. Thank you, and thank you all who are here today. We had a few technical difficulties, as happens whenever you're doing a live show. So, Lester, thank you so much for being patient as we set this up. To the audience, thank you guys for hanging in there. Please share this broadcast. Please like this broadcast, and please stay tuned for more. So, Lester, my friend,
What's up, friend? My boy, oh boy.
man, the great Lester Sanders. I want to tell you that I heard about you before I actually knew you. We're a few years apart. Obviously, we're both Canton McKinley grads.
Yeah.
I knew of you. I knew of you as an athlete. I knew of you as a person. But I was working with youth, and I was teaching some different classes and doing some trainings for foster youth. And I was working with the county and some other organizations to provide some training. And people kept saying, you have to meet Lester Sanders. They said this guy's heart for youth is amazing. The impact he's having is amazing, and you have to meet this guy. And from that day on, somebody gave me your business card, and I knew our paths would be tied together. And I told you that when we actually met, that I knew that that was going to happen.
I
And I'm
remember.
so excited to have you on the show. I'd love for you to start by just telling us, who is Lester Sanders? Who is Lester Sanders?
Lester Sanders. Lester Sanders is a man on a mission to help other people excel in the game of life. At the end of the day, we all need help getting to where we're trying to go on this journey. And so when I looked at what I wanted to do with my life, I said that I wanted to help people excel in the game of life because I had so many people help me overcome a lot of the obstacles and hurdles that came along with growing up in Canton, Ohio, which is, as we all know, American inner city, as far as the inner city of it. And so when I looked at what I wanted to do with my life, and also kind of connected the dots throughout the years of knew I would be helping people, and I always found myself doing things helping people. So when I was looking at what I was going to major in college and what was I going to focus on for my life's work, I knew it would be helping people, and then I narrowed it down to really focus on teens and young adults. So I wear many hats as a speaker. I say that I'm a student advice expert after 20 years in the game,
Love it.
adversity strategist, and then last but not least, I'm also a licensed ordained minister.
Powerful. Powerful, powerful. It sounds like your life is built around service to others, service to your community. We don't have enough people like you out there, Lester. You know, a lot of people talk a good game. A lot of people say what they want to do, but they're not taking action. They don't know how to get started. How did you get started? Like, how did you start impacting lives, working with youth? I know you've shared a little bit of this with me in the past, but share with our audience today. How did you get started?
Man, actually, I got started, years ago. The city of Kent had a youth work employment program, and so I went, applied. This was like my senior year in high school. I applied, and I actually kind of give credit to my youth development career to R.C. Hill.
Okay.
He said, I applied, went through the interview. He said, well, you got a job, but you got two options. He said, you can cut grass in the city, cut Fawcett Stadium, then Fawcett Stadium Hill, now Tom Benson Stadium. You can cut grass all around the city, or you can be a camp counselor at my YMCA camp. He said, I'm going to give you a minute. You think about it. I said, give me them kids.
It didn't take long.
No, it didn't take long at all.
Right.
Now I want the viewers to get it wrong. I can do some hard work. I can roll up my sleeve, put my boots on, do what I got to do. But because I had that option, I said, let me give you them kids. And probably about after 2 weeks, man, I fell in love with it. They were a younger group, but I said I knew this is what I wanted to do. And then once I graduated from college and everything, I kind of narrowed it down to working with middle school, high schools. And so my niche right now is high schoolers and young adults, college age students.
Excellent.
But I can talk to folks the folks that's not younger adults too, because at the end of the day, we all need help getting where we're trying to go.
Absolutely. And obviously in ministry, that is something that you've done, working with people of all ages. Now, during this time, we're dealing with a crazy, crazy time in society. And adults are thinking about adult problems. Adults are trying to figure out how they're going to handle their business, how they're going to pay their bills, how they're going to, not lose their house or lose their car or lose their business, right? So right now, the focus is on adults. Stimulus is to stimulate the adult economy.
Right.
But people are not thinking about the impact on young people right now. As someone who has worked with so many young people and still does, what do you think are some of the implications and impacts on young people right now with this coronavirus, this quarantine, this no school situation that so many young people are facing in our country right now?
Yeah, not only is the world governments interrupted, not only is world economies interrupted, not only is family households interrupted, but as someone who eats, sleep, and breathe student development, our students' lives has been interrupted as well. Right. I mean, you think about a lot of the seniors, due to social distancing, they're not going to be able to do some of the traditional activities like prom, The traditional graduation. A lot of schools are probably going to end up going towards virtual graduations.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, on their life journey, there's been a major disruption. And so while everyone else is focusing on the stimulation of the economy, my goal and my focus is to stimulate the minds of our students so that they can realize that this is an event that has taken place and they just so happen to be living through it. And I want to stimulate them so that they can develop a plan so that once this is over with, they'll be able to have action steps that they can move forward and move on with life. Because at the end of the day, we're going to get back to the norm. There'll be some things that's different. I mean, I remember in high school, American history, studying about different pandemics, and we just so happen to be living through one right now. But it's important that as we focus on the other things, don't forget about our high schoolers, don't forget about our middle schoolers and our elementary kids. They need help and guidance along the way, and you can actually use this particular time as a teaching tool. Because I've talked with some relatives. I've even had a couple conversations with some students that I work with, and they got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And so I just want to be a sounding board to be able to answer some of the questions that they have, because when life patterns or particular milestones are interrupted, we need help processing through them. And I want to be able to be able to provide some answers for them, because the reality is this is a reflection of everyday life.
Right.
You know, we all have different plans. We have plans that we're going to go and overtake the world, but there's always hiccups that happen along the way. Obstacles and hurdles is really part of the game of life. I think it's called Murphy's Law. At any time, things will happen and will always happen.
Right.
And so, you know, while we make sure that we are sensitive to our students' need, we also have to help them and use this as a teaching tool to let them know that this is going to be part of everyday life, not a pandemic, but adversity. Yes. Things that you got to get over, things that you got to persevere through, and things that you just got to literally push through, because you will never have a moment or a year where you don't have to make some type of game time adjustments. It's part of being an adult, because there's that big term right now. It's called Adulting 101. And really, the world is really marketing Adulting 101, but they're really talking about the things that you don't learn in school. And so, you know, personal development, helping students overcome different adversities, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's how to pay for college, how to develop relationships outside your normal peers that you are comfortable working with. You got to be able to stretch yourself and learn the things that you need to learn in addition to getting a good education.
Excellent information. Our young people are living through what they're living through, right? And I say that to say every generation lives through something. Yep. And it may be a defining moment in their lives, but it doesn't have to be a crushing moment. It doesn't have to be a defining moment. Doesn't have to be a defeating moment, right? It doesn't mean that it's over. And if they don't go to prom, it's going to be really sad and unfortunate, because it's like rites of passage in our culture. But in the grand scheme of things, with people dying every day, if a child doesn't go to prom, but they live to see their 18th, 19th, 20th birthday, they're going to have to see the blessing in that. And I hear you saying we as adults, we got to rally around them and we got to help them understand that. If they don't get, I had not heard the term virtual graduation. I could just see the people going off. Are they going to let the parents shout on the virtual graduation or what? They're going to have to hold their applause to the end or what?
Man, these graduations I've been to, no parents is going to get a mic because they'll be hollering and everything. Other kids won't be able to be heard. Right. So I think the virtual graduation, I know many of the colleges throughout the nation are going through virtual graduation where they'll call the name. They'll get their information or like their diploma, tassels, and cords that'll be mailed to them. But it's a way to try to give them a glimpse of the graduation, but it's going to be different at the end of the day. And one of the principles that I developed and didn't realize it when I was young. And it's funny, those that live in Canton, Ohio, Fifth and Walnut, if you were ever had to experience public assistance, it used to be a little brown building on Fifth and Walnut where you would get your food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent 17 years in public housing. And so whether it was rain, sleet, or snow, I used to have to go stand in the line to collect our food stamps. And so one of the things, and I used to be like, man, Mom, why we got to stand here in this line and get these food stamps? And she would say, I had an urban mom, and when she got mad, sometimes
Urban. What's that? Urban. Okay, I got you.
An urban mom.
Urban mom.
And when she got mad, she would talk through her teeth, and she'd be like, "Shut up, boy! If you want to get something to eat, you're gonna stand in this line with me."
And you're gonna be hungry.
Yeah.
Right.
So what I chose to do is I won't say that these are the exact words that I used then, but I look back. I said, how do I turn my adversity into a university?
Wow.
And so I start thinking about, what do I need to do to where in the future I don't have to stand in the line and get assistance, but I can position myself for success so that I can go to the grocery store and purchase my items the way my grandparents did, or some uncles and other people do. And so we want to get our students to focus on, how do we turn this time into a university to be able to give us an advantage in the game of life, because things are constantly going to come up. It may not be a pandemic, but it's going to be something else that come up. And those who are prepared, and us adults, got to show some tough love and get them to see what is the bigger picture, because graduation is really a small piece in the overall big picture. And because the big picture says that they can have success in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, but we got to teach them how to get through adversity. And this is a great teaching tool to help them get through adversity.
Excellent point. Wow, adversity is the university, I believe you said. It's teaching our children the things that they really need to know. And I'm a big
turn your adversity into a university.
Turn your adversity into a university.
It's not a human being alive, no matter race, color, creed, socioeconomic status, you're going to go through some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in versus just going through your stuff, what did you learn? What lesson did you learn from the process of what you went through, so that you can utilize it as a tool in the future?
Love it. I always think, did I go through something or did I grow through something? Like, if I just go through it, I might come out beat up, broken, worse than I came in. But I'm like, man, I've gone through things, but I've grown through things. I didn't just go through it. I had to grow through it. So I hear you saying that. And I think it is so important, the things that you've been teaching young people for so long. There's lessons in this pandemic. There's lessons in this moment that are priceless. It is so much better to learn some grit. It is so much better to learn how to deal with a varying situation that is uncertain, and have the emotional intelligence and the mental stability to ride it out and deal with it. The lessons they're learning right now, if they were sitting in a classroom learning reading, writing, arithmetic, they wouldn't get these lessons that they're learning right now. So I hear you saying it's so important, in that while as parents, we can spend our whole time frustrated that we are in this situation, or we can think, man, this may be the thing that helps my kid become the person that I knew they could become. It is the adversity that is actually teaching them the things that they really need to know. So,
well, I would say this is a learning tool that they can put in a tool belt, so that when something else comes up down the road, they'll have that tool and that reference point on how to get through something. Because when you look at this social distancing, now, for all the viewers out there, don't let the baby face fool you, but I'm old enough. I'm old enough to remember when, it wasn't all about likes on social media. It wasn't about this super fast paced society that we lived in. And I remember when things was a lot mellow. Growing up in the throughout the 80s and the 90s, society was at a slower pace. And so this thing of social distancing has forced everyone to slow down and do some self-assessments. So with this time of us being distanced from others, we can actually use this time to really get to know ourselves a little bit better. And that's important. When you talk about being successful in the game of life after high school, when bills come, monthly in the mailbox. You know, they want to use this time to get to know themselves, because the more that they know themselves, they'll be able to have the confidence to get through things that's going to come up in life, because there's tons of opportunities, there's tons of positive things that students will be able to accomplish, but along the way, they got to be able to get through some stuff as well.
Excellent points. I want to take a minute to shout out some of the people I know are here in the broadcast. There's many on, a few have made comments. I just want to shout out those that have been commenting, and I want to thank all of you who are here, whether you're commenting or not. Some of you are cooking dinner, some of you are sitting with your family, some of you are still trying to figure out how to answer your kids' homework assignment. You don't know what to do, and you're just listening to us tonight. So thank you to those who are listening to this broadcast like a podcast. That's okay with us. But to those whose eyes are on the screen tonight, we want to thank you as well for being here with us. For those who are commenting, we really appreciate your comments. Whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, or LinkedIn, we really appreciate your engagement in the process, or your engagement in this broadcast. It really helps us continue on. And we are going to do a Q&A, so please get your questions ready. Again, like and share this broadcast so that others can get in here, tag somebody and say, so-and-so, you got a high school student right now, you're trying to figure this out. Or tag somebody and say, you're missing this great conversation, so that more people can learn what Lester's going to share with us today. So to shout out a few people, I wanted to thank Tyler Thatcher is in the house. Tyler said, my guy,
Tyler.
Lester Sanders. Going to be a great show.
Hey, listen, Tyler Thatcher, I was actually his youth pastor for some years. When you mention his name, he's one of them kids you're like, this is the reason why I got into doing student development. That's my man right there. But he grown now. He grown.
You know what's funny about Tyler? Tyler was one of my students as well.
Okay.
So Tyler went to McKinley Early Childhood Center years ago, him and his siblings. So I had a chance to impact Tyler. You had a chance to impact Tyler. Tyler is the perfect storm of good mentoring. So we're happy that Tyler's going to be on the show as well. I'll be announcing that too. He's going to be on the show speaking to young people, speaking about some things that I think will be really impactful as well. Shout out to my cousin Damon is on the show. He's tuned in tonight. Thank you for being here. It's like it's a family thing. Another cousin on the other side, Marche Lucas.
Marche
is in the house. Marche, we got to get you on here too. We're so glad to have you here today. Thank you so much. Marcus McFolling will be our guest tomorrow. Everybody, check him out right here. Marcus McFolling will be our guest tomorrow. We're going to talk about his life, his family, his story, overcoming opioid addiction. It's going to be powerful tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Can't wait to have him on. Please tune in tomorrow. Set your reminders. Like it, love it on Facebook when it's posted. Share it with other people. You don't want to miss tomorrow night with the amazing overcomer, Marcus McFolling. So we will have him on tomorrow.
I'll be tuned in for that one, man. His impact that he's made over the last year and a half has been tremendous. And I've had the opportunity to sprinkle some information to help him out on his journey, but he's doing a tremendous job impacting people.
It's awesome. Marcus, when I met Marcus, I said, Marcus, have you met Lester? He said, oh, of course. Yes, of course I've met Mark. Yes, he's helped me. So excellent. He's carrying this thing even further, right, Lester?
Yeah.
Some things that we've had the opportunity to do. The opportunities for what Marcus is going to take this and do with it is just beyond incredible. So,
and I look at it in the mindset of a big brother.
Yeah.
Any big brother in their right mind want their little brother to do better and reach more things done, or get more things done in a quicker amount of time. And he's on pace.
He is killing it. Pace.
Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to Brian Buchanan. Thank you for being here tonight. Family.
BB.
Said, what's up?
Yeah.
I've known Brian Buchanan since I was a little kid. He was friends with Jimmy Fuqua, Billy Ellis's brother. And or maybe they're cousins too, but they would always hang out together. And Brian Buchanan gave me my first lessons in football. He was a little bigger than us, you know what I'm saying? We was trying to tackle him in the backyard, It was fun. It was real fun. I had to, that made me work because,
You had to drop your hips a little bit.
You had to drop your hips and drive. See what you hit because he was coming at you. So.
Brian, cool people, man. That's my cousin, married to his wife. I'm married to, he's my cousin, and I'm married to his cousin. Okay. I got all tongue twisted on that one. You
said, I'll edit the video later so people don't hear. Okay. You said, I'm married to his wife. I was like,
No. Yeah, that's wrong.
You're married to his cousin. Okay.
I am married to his cousin.
Got you. So therefore, you guys are family. All right, no problem. Nobody will remember this. Cork and Canvas, Lisa. She said, "Is this every night?" It sure seems to be, doesn't it,
Yeah.
Lisa? Oh man, when are you gonna come on the show? The plan wasn't not necessarily that this was gonna be every night, but hey, I got a lot of good guests lined up. I got Marcus McFarlane coming on tomorrow. I got Steve Beatty coming on Wednesday doing a cooking show. I have Thursday. I have Frank and Freeze from Seventh Floor Clothing in Akron, Ohio. And Friday, I have my man Javen Shaw, who's a bodybuilder, who's gonna be talking to us about personal fitness and staying in shape while we are locked in the house. He's gonna give us some great
Oh,
tips.
man.
We're gonna do some Q&A with him. And then Saturday night, we'll be back for another game night. For those of you who were here for game night a few nights ago, if you didn't see it, go back and watch the replay of game night. We had so much fun. It's trivia. It's something everybody can participate in. You type your answers into the chat box. It's so much fun. So really exciting, really exciting. Thank you so much, Marcus, again, for your kind words. And Lisa said, "I don't talk. Lester is my spokesperson for Aspire."
Yeah.
All right. So
Auntie Lisa.
all right. So you want to share a little bit? What is Aspire?
Aspire is a nonprofit that was started by Lisa Lucas Sims, and it's an acronym for Athletes Strongly Pursuing Instructional Recruitment Experience. And so there's a lot of student athletes. I mean, students that's been playing sports since youth sports, middle school, high school, and they need help for that transitional journey to college.
Yeah.
They need information on how to be eligible for the NCAA, to position themselves for scholarships and just academic and athletic. Because the recruiting process, especially at the D1 level, that really starts in middle school. And you hear a lot of major D1 recruits, they're not offered just in their senior year. A lot of them are offered in their sophomore and junior year. So we want to just be able to provide that information that student athletes need so that they're not just successful on the field, but they also be successful on the field, the court, and in everyday life. And I like that quote LeBron has, it's about being more than an athlete.
Yes. Love it. Love it. It's great to see that you're behind so many great things. Here is the website for Aspire, www.aspiretoday.org, www.aspiretoday.org. For any young student athletes or parents, please check that out. We want to make sure that you guys are aware of what they offer here to you today. So, Lester, one of the things that I wanted you to do for a minute for us was just give us a moment of motivation. Now, parents and everybody else watching, I want you guys to stay tuned because we are going to talk a little bit more, and he's going to talk about what you can do to make sure your young people are ready for college. And Lester's also he's not just going to share about college readiness from make sure you still take your ACT, SAT. I don't even know if they can do that right now or what they should do.
It's April past that point now, as far as taking the ACT, and then a lot of colleges are waiving that process due to the pandemic and students not being able to come together and take the test.
It's your chance to go to Yale, Harvard, kids. Just roll up in there like, hey, y'all ain't got no requirements. I'm here, right? So it's gonna be some Ivy League kids this year. So that's awesome. So he's gonna share. I'm gonna ask him a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about the dark side of college, not necessarily the dark side, but the non-academic side. That there's a lot of challenges that young people face when they go to college, and they're often ill-equipped for that level of independence. And what happens to those young people in those moments, and how can we better support them and be there for them? So we're going to talk about that. But Lester, I want to give you a chance to just give us a little Monday motivation. If you could just say some words to us to help anybody out there who's struggling right now with everything going on, please share for a moment with us.
Man, I really want to encourage people that's listening to realize that, as we're going through this pandemic, it's a reflection. The pandemic is a reflection of adversity that will happen and will take place in everyday life. And so one of the principles that I live by is don't let your emotions overpower your intelligence. It's emotions going through a pandemic. You get emotions. There's people trying to figure out where their next meal is going to come from, where their next paycheck is going to come from. But don't let the emotions of going through something empower your intelligence. Students are going through an emotional thing right now with not being able, especially seniors, not being able to do the traditional graduation, go to the prom, being able to have the graduation parties. So emotions are tied in, and it's okay to have emotions because emotions just simply tell us that something is going on. And there's various types of emotions, but we don't want to let our emotions overpower our intelligence. And I really believe at this particular time of social distancing, we can use, I promise you, we can use this time, this extra time that we have while staying safe. We can use this extra time and invest in ourselves to get to know ourselves better. We can use this time to invest in our career paths. We can use this time to invest in loved ones. I know parents is getting used right now to being around their kids 24/7, but we can use this time wisely and invest, because at the end of the day, if you don't invest, or if you don't plant a seed of corn in the ground, or if you don't, you're not going to get a harvest. You're not going that nothing's going to grow. If you go to your bank and you try to withdraw $1,000, but you didn't invest $1,000 in your savings account, you're not going to be able to make a withdrawal. So this is also a time that we can make some investment in ourselves and others, and know that as the time goes on, because investments don't grow right overnight. Investments take time. So if we use this time of social distancing to invest in ourselves and others, we can get a yield on our overall return. And I just want to, really tell students, especially seniors, really invest in this time and don't rush it, because it's real out here when it comes to earning a living. I graduated from Kent State University May 2001. I was super excited. I walked across that stage, gotten my diploma. We were just removed from public housing about a year or so, right when I graduated from high school, and then going through college. And my goal was I wanted to put my diploma on my mom's fireplace. And I gave my mom that big hug, that hug that you be like, Mom, just don't let me go. And we were getting ready to go to my graduation party, and she went in the room, and I was like, oh man, Mom's about to hook her brother up. And my mom came out of the room with an envelope. I'm like, oh, my mom will give me some bands. But at the end of the day, she gave me my car insurance bill. She said, I paid it up until the end of July. Your job starts at the end of June. And so there's something called a transfer of responsibility that is going to take place, where parents begin to start pulling back on all the things that they do. And it's time for you to invest in yourself so that you can step up and take the responsibility of adulthood, so that you can be on track to reach your goals, your dreams, and things that you set out to do. But at the end of the day, don't let your emotions overpower your intelligence. I'm going to say it again. Turn your adversity into a university. What can you learn from this? What can you research? What can you Google? This is the Google generation. This is the YouTube generation. When I was younger, you had a question, you had to go to these books called encyclopedias. And a lot of times when the encyclopedia was already printed, you had a question that was past the time that of the information that was already printed. So y'all can look up things at any time. You can you got access to so much information. I mean, there's so many websites. And so you can, it's called self-education. You can, there's so many things that you can learn right now to get prepared. And I want you to make a commitment to being a lifelong learner. Learning never stops. I'm in my early 40s, and I try to learn something each day, each week, each month, each year. Information changes situations. When it comes to being an African-American male, born and raised in a single parent home, my mom had me when she was 18. And just like so many relationships that people get in prior to 25, sometimes young relationships don't work. So I had to navigate my way. I had a dynamic support system on both sides of my family, but it was not letting my emotions overpower my intelligence. not letting the emotions of growing up in the inner city, not letting my emotions being an African American male in America, and the challenges that come along with that. So you just gotta know that you got smarts, you got common sense, you invest in yourself, and things will work out. And just want y'all to know, when it comes especially to this thing called graduation, and certain things are missing. The reality is perfect don't exist. It's going to be obstacles, hurdles along the way. But if you look at these obstacles and hurdles, sort of like an NBA championship series, you can win. You can win the championship, but you don't have to win every game. At the end of the day, an NBA season is long, and the NBA season got canceled this year. So that was a major hiccup even for them. But in a normal season, you don't have to win every game to make the playoffs. And you don't have to win every game in the playoffs to advance in the playoff. And you don't have to win every game to win the championship. But the question is, when we have setbacks, or if we lose for a second, the question is, do you lose or do you learn? And I think if you focus on those principles, those are some things some non-academic principles that I incorporated in my life. You add it with the academic, you add it with the personal development, and you add that to the investments that you make, you can reach your goals and dreams. And I last but not least, but because I am also a minister of the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, during this pandemic, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. You, we all need some eternal soul insurance at the end of the day. So, I'm one who accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and at the end of the day, nobody is exempt from possibly catching this coronavirus. Some people overcome it, but as we know and we see in the news, some people are losing their lives. So it would be real good to have that insurance policy in place, about just in case something was to happen, you would be able to live eternally in heaven. So I wanted to make sure I threw that in there. But at the end of the day, don't let your emotions overpower your intelligence. Turn your adversity into a university, and realize that perfect does not exist. But even though perfection does not exist, it's your preparation that will allow you to move through any obstacles that come your way. So I want you to take those nuggets of information and apply them to your life. And at the end of the day, roll up your sleeves and put the work in and make the investment so that you can get a return on your investment.
Lester, my man, thank you so much for saying that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give this man a hand for what he has shared with us tonight. You guys are our live studio audience, so I know you're at home clapping. Put some claps in the comments. Some claps are going up in the comments. People are participating. People were celebrating the things that you were saying. Please stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, who are on here tonight. We're going to continue our interview with Lester here in just a second. Again, I want to thank everybody who's here. Renee Holt, thank you so much for participating. Amanda Dukes, thank you so much. So much wisdom being spoken right now. So many people are encouraged by what you were sharing tonight. And I know so many more who may not have said it, but I know they're here and I know they were encouraged. We need information, we need motivation, we need inspiration in a time like this. And that's why I wanted to have you on tonight. Monday can be a tough day for people. It can really get people down, but you really brought an important word for us today. So thank you so much. Everybody's out here celebrating, which is what we want. Thank you guys so much for the love. So I want to show one more video here from Lester that he has prepared that I think is going to be helpful for us as we all continue to think about this and some of the things that he's doing. This is really cool. We're going to get into some of the work he's doing with, again, helping young people prepare for college. He was doing it when times were normal, and he's doing it now that times are tough, and he wants to be there to help everybody out. So check out this quick promotional video from Lester.
What areas could you push yourself in, like a Kobe mindset, like a marathon runner, so that you get the most out of what you're supposed to get? Because there's levels. Is mediocre, average, good, great, and exceptional. I have no doubt that y'all can be y'all are exceptional, and you can stay exceptional. But the question is, what area do you need to push yourself in? Um, because knocking out schoolwork is not a problem for y'all. Being motivated to be successful is not a problem for y'all. Y'all get that part. Have y'all ever heard the saying success is a marathon? Okay. So success is a marathon. So since we don't have to worry about trying to motivate you academically to get your homework done, when you turn your homework assignments in, we don't got to deal with that. So deal with that. So if success is a marathon and y'all already running, marathon runners always keep pushing themselves to beat their times, their previous times. So since those things are not an issue for you and you are in a good spot where you are being successful, what areas I want you to think about that you can still continue to push yourself in? Because one of the things that out of this whole thing with Kobe passing away, I've been studying a lot of stuff on his mentality. And the mentality that he had, and I'm pretty sure y'all seen a lot of clips and stuff, it was like I watched him play, but you didn't notice what's going on behind the scenes. And so because y'all are in a good spot academically and in the area of motivation, what areas could you push yourself in like a Kobe mindset, like a marathon runner, so that you get the most out of what you're supposed to get? Because there's levels. Is mediocre, average, good, great, and exceptional. I have no doubt that y'all are exceptional, and you can stay exceptional. But the question is, what area do you need to push yourself in?
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. I want to get our guest back in the studio. I know people want to hear from you. So as we are trying to help these students succeed in this trying time, Lester, what's some advice that you have for young people and their parents, again, as it goes into college readiness? And let us know, are you talking specifically to seniors? Is there something that underclassmen can be doing in this time? What's the plan, my man? What do people do?
College readiness is a process.
Okay.
So of course, seniors, they got a lot less time than the underclassmen. But the name of the game is trying to get the highest GPA possible. In order to be successful, you don't have to have a 4.0, but if you have one, kudos for those that are able to achieve those. But it's about trying to get the highest GPA possible. And outside of this particular pandemic or situation, it's also about trying to have the highest test scores as possible. So being able to really focus and manage distractions and being able to get the best grades possible, the best test scores possible, so that you can be able to apply to get into the schools that you would like to get into. Because one of the things is there's a lot of people or students who have certain colleges that they want to get into. So you gotta explore what are the requirements in order to get accepted into certain colleges. There's some colleges that is called highly selective schools, and then
Such as?
such as Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Case Western.
What about in Ohio State? Where do they rank? I know it's not as easy as maybe your community college, but some people think they can just go to Ohio State because they like the football team or they're a fan. What's that like?
So there's public schools and there's private schools. So a public is like Ohio State, Kent State University, Bowling Green. Then you have your private universities like Harvard, Yale, Mount Union, Baldwin Wallace. Um, but they have standards. So there's highly selective, there's selective, and then there are some like open enrollment type schools. So Ohio State, at the end of the day, I graduated from Kent State University, but I got to give it up. They're one of the best universities on the planet, and they're kind of like a highly selective public university.
Okay.
So there's a lot of competition. You got people trying to get there from all around the world. So you got to have those test scores in order to get, especially on the main campus. And then like Ohio State University, Ohio University, I'll just speak more towards Ohio, and then Kent State University, they have an extensive university system where they have the main campus and then an extensive regional campus system, so that those who possibly may not make it due to certain requirements on the main campus, they have
Okay.
other options as well, so that all students can be educated. But it's
Interesting.
about number one, having the grades, the test scores to be able to get accepted. And then the next step is, at the end of the day, while we are promoting college and we telling students go to school, get a good education, try to find your career path, the reality is college is super expensive. So your private universities cost a lot more than your public universities. And then you have your regional campuses, and then you also have your 2-year universities like a Stark State or Tri-C.
Okay.
But it's about looking at what universities that interest you, and if you are applying or have already applied to, because we're in April, so there's a lot of students that actually started the application process. Some of them probably has also have been getting their financial aid award letters. So the next part is the affordability, and that's really about being realistic about what you can actually afford. Because the reality is the tuition in Ohio, I'll use the example for Ohio again, the average tuition at a private university is about $30,000. That's not including room and board. Room and board runs, but on average between $10,000 to $12,000 in Ohio,
A
and
year.
across a year. So
Yep.
you're talking about tuition, room and board
Per year.
per
Per
year,
year. Right.
per year,
Yep.
not just 1 year, but per year. Then you talk about books, and then there's also living expenses. Most
Yeah.
students got cell phone bills. They might got a Netflix account. You still need clothes, because clothes wear out while you're in college.
Right.
And then like at 10:30 at night, when the cafeteria closed and that stomach get to grumbling, sometimes
You
you
gotta have
need money
something.
for food.
Right.
You may catch a cold here and there. Somebody might get married or other activities going on. So there's living expenses throughout the process.
Right.
And that's where a lot of students kind of get mixed up or messed up in the process, because you got tuition, room and board, books, but then, it's actually got living expenses also to get
Yeah.
there. So the average private university is about 30,000. The average public university tuition is right around 11,000. And then you add tuition, then you add room and board,
Or
and living expenses.
right.
And then regional campuses, like right here in Stark County, Ohio, we got Kent State University Stark. The average regional campus is right around 6,300. And you can get the same degree that you would at a main campus or at a private university. You can get a degree at that price point as well. And then you have schools like Stark State that's just a little bit lower there, but they are a 2-year university,
Okay.
and kind of towards or push people towards a vocational type
Right.
track.
Job
So you
readiness.
got your job readiness. So you
Yep.
got your 2-year vocational programs. Then you got your 4-year regional, 4-year public, and then 4-year private.
Okay. So I'm a parent. I am a parent, but let's play. I'm playing a different parent, and
Right.
I come to you and I say, Lester, uh, I thought the Rona was gonna get me and my family. We've been locked in the house. We wearing masks. We don't go out. My kids got this online school. I'm no teacher. I can't help
Right.
these kids. They got calculus. They got English 6. I don't know what they read. I don't know what they talking about. I didn't understand Shakespeare when I was in school. And I definitely don't understand it 20, 30 years later. How am
And
I
they
supposed to help my kid get ready and get the grades because they got multiple semesters with me as their teacher? What am I supposed to do to help my kid be successful and get the best grades possible to prepare them for college?
well, I got a sixth grader and a
Okay.
preschooler. So me and my wife, we working towards splitting the load. We're trying to help them get their work done. But they moved to a lot of online instruction, and with today's technology, a lot of school districts is on the Google Classroom system, and they got a lot of those type things. So the teachers, they're sending work home, but there's a lot of tutorials. They getting a lot of to-do lists on what to do. They even have certain meetings that they can check in with teachers. But you know, a lot of the ways that they teach math today is like totally different. So I'll be honest
Goodness.
with you, it's some problems. I'll be scratching my head with trying to
I
help,
don't know.
but it's
Right.
about
Where's the
doing
calculator?
while they're at home, doing their very best, get the work that they can get done, and then email the teachers when you have some issues or some hiccups, because they can make appointments and arrangements to possibly try to do some type of virtual or phone call to help explain some things as well. And then they also send a lot of tutorials um, on how to get certain stuff done as well. But it's about being patient.
Yeah.
Um, get what you can get done, do your very best, and at the end of the day, the school year gonna keep going on. They got about a
Right.
month left overall, and then the school year will be over. They'll be able to go through summer, and then hopefully they'll be able to go back.
Right.
But it is a possibility where they might do some home remote instruction as well in the fall. But we
Yeah,
got to
don't
see.
scare us. Don't
No,
scare
I
the
don't.
parents out there. All right. That's not something you heard from the governor, and then was it?
No,
Because
no,
you
no, no,
scaring us.
no.
All
I'm
right, all
just
right. We get to stay at home. So I like that. So there are tutorials. There's ways for parents to educate themselves on how to educate their children. It does take some patience. It does
Mhm.
take some time, but it is worth helping your student to be successful. I also like that you said reach out to the teacher, do a virtual session with the teacher, or talk to the teacher. There has to be ways to help our children have success, and we can't be too proud. Just like you stood in that line to get those food stamps once upon a time. I remember those food stamps once
Okay.
upon a time when they was in the book. He had to tear them out, or it was a mess. Right? It was a lot. I remember standing in line for lunch tickets,
Hmm.
and you got to stand in line at school for lunch tickets.
Yeah.
So we go through adversity. Every generation, every group of people does, but we have to be willing to do what it takes to be successful. And certainly, we always say, and this is one of my favorite lessons that my pastor taught me was he said it's easy to say we die for somebody, it's harder to live for them.
Mm.
So you're saying you got to live for your kids. We got to
Yeah.
wake up and live for our kids. We have to make a difference. We have to be their teachers. We have to be their leaders. We have to be their mentors. We have to do the best we can with what we have, and then we have to look for other resources to surround them with.
Yeah, one thing that we do is sometimes we'll put math problems right in Google and ask the question, and then different for those type problems,
Yep.
they'll have step by step on how to walk through them. Sometimes you got to depend on older siblings, and then
Yep.
also older students who've been through the process. So start making some phone calls, try to do some networking,
Yep.
and get some tutorial type help
And get the
as
help you
well.
need. I love that. So one more thing I want you to touch on, and then we're going to go to Q&A. If there's anybody who has questions, please type your questions into the comments. Thanks. Marcus said the answer is fire. He's over here celebrating with us. Thank you so much, Marcus, for participating and being here with us tonight. So questions, if you have questions, start typing your questions into the comment section. We will do Q&A, and we will be looking out. I'm also watching on LinkedIn as well here on my phone, and I have everybody else up. Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. You guys are live here with us, so please type your comments and your questions into the chat box, and we will be able to see that or into the comments. But Lester, you and I were talking, and you mentioned to me off camera about the fact that there's more to college, right?
Yeah,
There's a side of college that is non-academic
yeah.
that we as parents need to know about and students need to prepare for. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, so in addition to 20 years of student development experience, I done worked with elementary, middle, high school, college age. I did about 10 years of case management, working with students through an organization here in Stark County called Child Adolescent Behavioral Health. Worked with some programs at McKinley High School, former Governor Ted Strickland, increasing the graduation rate initiatives. 2 years ago, I was a missions counselor at the University of Mount Union.
Right.
And then over the last year, when it comes to us being on this broadcast, and we've been promoting as a speaker, myself
Yeah.
as a speaker, but also I don't live my life through no social media filter. I balance work and also speaking and empowering people. So I'm a coordinator of a college pathway program called Rising Scholars at Kent State University at Start. And it's focused on preparing students from ninth to 12th grade to be ready for that overall transition. And so one of the things that I learned as a missions counselor at Mount Union, um, one of the things that we promoted was that 80% of the learning takes place outside the classroom.
Wow.
So there's an academic piece to college, but there's also a non-academic piece to college. Because think about it, in college, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you'll have maybe 3 classes, sometimes maybe 4. Then Tuesday and Thursday, you'll have 1 or 2 classes.
Right.
So it's not like high school, you're stuck in a building.
Right.
So once you take your classes, you kind of off on your own, whether you go to your dorm, whether you have a job. And then one of the most underestimated things, especially for college freshmen, is that transition from high school to college, from home to the dorm room.
Right.
You're talking about an individual who's been used to having the structure, having a system around them, and now you put them in a situation where they have to be very independent. And so 80% of learning takes place outside the classroom. And a lot of times that's when a lot of students really get to focus on who they are as a person, because they're isolated or they're distanced from their regular support system.
Right.
So that's why I talked about earlier about investing in yourself and getting to know yourself, so that that transition is a little bit easier. And then just time management. You have classes that you got to take. You got study time. They say for every hour that you are in class, that you need to put almost 3 hours of studying in.
Wow.
So then you're in an environment where you're meeting people from all around the world. I know when I was at Kent State, they had people from around the world. And so you're getting to know yourself, learning dynamics of the campus. I remember my freshman year, I think we had to have like 121 credits to graduate. And I was like, what in the world? 121 credits? High school only needed 21.
Right.
But then I had to break it down and understand that each class is not worth 1 credit. Classes are worth 3 to 4 credit hours.
Right.
And then I start tapping into my resources, folks that graduated from college, some upperclassmen. And there's a learning process that takes place. And a lot of times people think students return home just because they're partying. But sometimes it's about making that adjustment from taking tests over 1 chapter all the way to taking tests over 3 to 6 chapters. Increase in your vocabulary.
Yep.
I mean, my freshman year, I had to live in a dictionary and live in a writing center.
Wow.
Because it was just that overall adjustment. And so I try to get students, as much as possible, try to take some advanced classes, because the workload is a lot more, or some AP courses, so that you're conditioned. Just like in a marathon, you just can't go out and run 26 miles. You got to start mastering mile 1 through 3.
Yep.
And that's a particular part, the academic conditioning, along with being on your own, having to put yourself in your dorm room and actually sometimes force yourself. I'm just going to bed so that I can get up and do this thing every day. Right. So that's where they talk about 80% of learning takes place outside the classroom, because in addition to learning a major, the students are learning themselves, learning about how the real world works. They get immersed in how finances work. And then, like, even something that we were kind of alluding to a little bit earlier when we were talking about the cost of college, there's something called COA, cost of attendance. So you got to look at the overall cost of attendance, and parents and students have to be realistic about what you can really afford.
Yeah.
So sometimes, in 2008, there was that housing bubble. And a lot of people who were in houses, they bought a house at a higher price point and they really couldn't afford it.
Right.
Well, sometimes you can go to a college that have a higher price point. And I'm not knocking college, because there are folk when it comes to a $30,000 tuition and everything else, There are people, they stroke checks.
Right.
But the question is it the right college for you? And please don't think that if you don't go to one college versus another one, that you won't be successful. As long as it's an accredited university, one of these universities that don't change their name every couple years. I ain't gonna say no name,
Ain't gonna say no names.
but Kent State been Kent State for a long time.
Right, right.
Mount Union been Mount Union for a long
Long
time.
time,
So an
right.
accredited university, but you got to be honest about what you can afford. And I remember in 1996, graduating from McKinley High School. I didn't get offered a scholarship because at the end of the day, on my tallest day, I'm only 5'7". So I was an undersized, strong safety, hoping and wishing that I would get offered a scholarship. Didn't get offered a scholarship, won all the postseason awards, all Ohio, special mention All Ohio, first team Northeast Inland District. And I didn't get offered a scholarship, but then there was a lot of Division I non-scholarship schools that I visited, Division II schools and Division III. And so when you start moving into the non-public universities, the price pops up.
Okay.
And then I'm always transparent. I left Camp McKinley with about a 2.8 GPA when I really should have had a 3.5.
Okay.
And I kind of struggled with the ACT test. It took me 5 times to get a 17. So I was heavily recruited by Mount Union, and it was just sometimes in those schools, you also need an academic scholarship to get in. So because my GPA wasn't high enough, my test score wasn't high enough, I didn't get access to some academic dollars versus the minority dollars I would get as far as in a grant, and then also just normal financial aid.
Right.
And so I had to pick a place that would be feasible for my mom, who was paying for college all by herself. And there's a lot of students who, when you look at their financial aid award letters, there's going to be tuition and fees. There's going to be other fees. There's going to be books, supplies, personal items, and you got to be honest about the out-of-pocket costs each year, and then also on the cost of on the back end if you have to get loans.
Right. So this adds to, and I think you answered this question, but if there's anything else that we need to say, and I want to get to one more question we have before we close.
One thing I want to add, Lucas, if we could, that last clip that you showed was Ask Lester Sanders. So one of the
Yes.
things that I do with the extra time that I have,
Yes.
evenings, I'm going to create content based pretty much like a Q&A. And so that video that you saw was loaded up on my YouTube page. Is youtube.com/Lester Speaks. And I'm going to be adding videos to be able to answer some questions. My website is lestersanders.com. And I'm putting it together right now, but we're going to be doing some next step college planning webinars for free to be able to pass out information to help those students that are seniors now, to be able to help them understand their financial aid award letters and make sure that they're choosing the right college for them based upon their major and also affordability.
That's awesome. Awesome. And I think let's just take a look here at the website. You guys check him out at lestersanders.com. You guys can see that right there.
You got all the social media handles on there as well.
Yeah, so you guys can see some great information he has going here for everybody to check out. And everybody make sure you go to lestersanders.com and check out all his information. All of his contact information is there for everybody. I think it's important. And Tyler, I hope you got the answer that you were looking for and what Lester was sharing about what you do about affording college. If you're struggling financially, you're going to have to someone, and I know you work with young people as well, Tyler. If they're struggling financially, they may have to make some other decisions. You may be able to get the exact same degree at the regional campus of the university or a different university. I got a degree from Malone College here in Canton, Ohio, but I don't remember any job or anybody saying, what college was that? Or, they said, what's your major? I told them. I don't remember even the hiring managers digging that deep into my transcripts, So it's about getting that education, getting that foundation. I do want to get to one more question as well. Marcus McFolling had a question here for you, Lester. He said, how do we get young people to buy into themselves? It's easy for us to see the gold in students, but what if they don't see it in themselves? What are some practical things we can implement? What do we do to help them see the greatness inside of them? I think that's a great question. Lester, what
And
would you say?
that is a great question. The beauty that we have and what we do when it comes to speakers, you can give yourself some titles. Um, and so one of the titles that you won't see on my website, but I'm a seed planter. And so what we got to do when students can't see certain things in themselves, we got to constantly keep making deposit and planting seeds so that as they're going on their journey, they'll get into a life situation and will be able to draw upon the information that was given to them. The issue comes if seeds aren't planted. And then really just helping students realize that you have value, you are loved. It's not about being perfect, but it's about maximizing your strength and working on your weaknesses, because everybody has strengths and weaknesses. But at the end of the day, we also, got to help students navigate through personal adversity that they might experience. But there's a lot of people, sometimes young people who don't see the value in themselves, but it's the encouraging word, it's the text, it's the time that you spend with them, but constantly making those overall deposits, and then it can begin to start clicking at the end of the day.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Marcus, thank you for that. Pastor Bennett, thank you for being here today. Again, Tyler, Corinne, Lisa, Marche, Damon, Tyler, everybody who was commenting in the chat, thank you so much. For those of you who are just watching but not commenting, we're so grateful still to have you here today. Lester, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I look forward to having you back in the future. I know there's a lot of information and motivation you can offer. And that's what I want to give to the audience every day. Again, to those who are watching, please catch us again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Marcus McFarling will be here to share his story. We're going to talk about opioid addiction. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be moving. You don't want to miss it. He's touring. He's before the coronavirus, he was touring, going to schools, making such an impact. So please, again, tomorrow's another great night to get your young people involved and have them tune in as well. He's also a man of faith, so he's going to share his story with us tomorrow. Again, on Wednesday, we will have Steve Beatty, Chef Steve Beatty, Master Chef Steve Beatty will be on, and he'll be doing a live cooking demonstration. Then Thursday, we'll have Frank and Freeze from 7th Floor Clothing, and Friday, we'll have Javen from Javen Fit, who is going to be showing us how to stay fit while we're stuck at home. So we're looking forward to that. Again, Lester, thank you so much. Any parting words to our audience tonight?
With being able to leave some parting words, I want to close with a quote that I use in many of my speeches from urban poet Clifford Harris. You might know him by the name of T.I.
Okay.
He says, "Don't forget that impossible is nothing. Your environment is irrelevant. Just don't let your emotions overpower your intelligence. Refuse to give up. Your mistakes don't define you. They don't dictate where you're headed. They simply remind you that time keeps ticking. Let your mind keep clicking. Never stop thinking, and beware your decisions, and beware the collisions and the potholes hidden in the road that you travel on your lifelong mission. Just listen. Every day is like a snapshot taken. If you live, you can learn, you can wait, be patient." Thank you for letting me come on to your show and sharing with your people, with your audience.
Excellent closing. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience, for being here with us. We'll see you again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Everybody have a great night.